Hello again, and welcome back to your favorite podcast series, Home and Hosting with Loui Burke. Today is slightly a different episode. For one, we've filmed this episode. Be sure to go and check it out over on YouTube at Loui Burke, as well as I'm answering your top 10 most asked questions on my Instagram. I got so many questions, so thank you so much for submitting them, and a lot of them were very similar. So I cultivated the top 10 questions, which I'm going to answer with you today. From styling tips to advice, it's all in here. Now be sure, if you're not already, to subscribe to this podcast and also give it a review. I really appreciate it because the more reviews you give, the more this podcast can be shared and more people can find ways to make any space, be it they rent, own, feel like home. So without further ado, let's get into it. So question number one is a really good one. If I was starting off with an empty room, what are the top 5 things I would buy first? So any room, be it a living room, a bedroom, a walk-in wardrobe, whatever, the first thing I look at is the floor. We need a rug. Not only does it ground the space and make the furniture feel like it belongs in the room, but it also softens it on the foot and also reduces the echo. So many great and good things about a rug. The next thing is the windows. We need some window treatments or coverings. So be it a curtain or a Roman shade, whatever, something to soften the space and also, again, reduce the echo. Then I would look up the top at the light, the main light in the room. Does the shade need replacing? 9 times out of 10, it does. So what are we going to change it out to? And then I would also think about what other lighting can I add into this space to make it feel more cozy with lamps, etc. Also, add in some Genio light globes because then you can attach them to your Wi-Fi and turn them on and off with Google Home and set the brightness and the color. It's fantastic. And then finally, with that main wall in the room, can we add in some artwork or a mirror just to really get the space going? All these 5 things are not really furniture, but I tell you what, if you add them into your room, they instantly make it feel like home. Before you've even gone in with those main pieces, be it a sofa, a bed, whatever, these 5 things will make any space feel a lot more cohesive, put together, designed, styled, and ultimately more cozy and make it feel like home. So question number 2 is one that I get a lot, which is, Loui, how do I make my bed as fluffy as yours? Now, I need you guys to focus on the stuff you can't see. The bedding, the duvet, the doona, whatever you call it, wherever you live. Doona is the word for duvet in Australia, by the way, for those international listeners. These things are so important. The minimum fill of a duvet should be 650 GSM. GSM stands for grams per square meter, and you can usually find it online, mainly in the description of the product details. 9 times out of 10, the duvet you see in store is around that 400 to 450 GSM because in Australia, we're known to be a hot climate. So a lot of in-bed linen stores only sell that sort of 400 GSM, and it's just not fluffy enough, especially the ones that have like a high loft fill, which is like a synthetic down. It's not as lofty and it doesn't hold as much air, so it's a lot more flat, which is what a lot of people have on their bed. So not only do they not have enough filling in the duvet, but the stuff that's actually filled within it is not very lofty or fluffy. So I highly recommend you grab yourself a down. I really like a mix of goose and duck down, or you can grab wool. The reason why I like feather down over wool is because it's a little bit more lightweight and more cool. It's good for all different seasons, whereas wool is better for winter when it's a bit colder, especially if you live in Melbourne. Like if you live in Queensland, like a wool is going to be way too hot. So a goose down is ideal. If you want to avoid animal products altogether, I highly recommend you grab the Cloud Corn range from Sheet Society. It is the best sort of down alternative that I've seen in the market, and the fact that it's lofty, fluffy, it retains air, and it looks and mimics feather down really well. Other ones, like those synthetic high lofts, just don't. They feel heavier. They make the duvet just looks like a pancake. So highly recommend you either get a goose down or the Cloud Corn range. The Cloud Corn range is significantly more expensive than that of what you can get in a feather down, but it's well worth the investment. Question number 3 is budget-friendly tips to elevate your home decor. Now, you might not like this answer, but I would say less is more. Remove all the clutter. Having 1 to 2 pieces that cost a little bit more says a lot more and makes a lot more of a statement than that of 10 cheap trinkets and 20 cushions. I think it's really about focusing on the things that are going to stand the test of time as well. and things that really speak to your style. So slow it down, think about the pieces you want to get, and just get 1 to 2 pieces. They don't necessarily have to be more expensive, but 9 times out of 10, they probably are going to be more expensive. Or you could find some really good alternatives secondhand on Facebook Marketplace or Etsy, whatever. I also highly encourage you to invest in really good furniture pieces, because if you have really good furniture, it does the talking. You don't really need to add in much decor because the furniture does all the work. So really think about that. I think a lot of people, when they start off with decorating their homes, they buy all the furniture at once because they need the room to function and work, which I totally understand. But then they'll go in and they'll pick up 20 vases and 30 cushions over the spans of 6 months, because cushions and cheap decor is a lot more affordable than expensive furniture. It's kind of like the same price of that of clothes, and people like to associate like everything relative to clothing because we buy more clothing than anything else. So they won't spend any more money on something if it's more expensive than that they would spend on a t-shirt or a jacket. Do you get what I mean? They'll only spend $50 on a vase, if that. I think it's about resetting a little bit and understanding that you move through home decor a lot slower than anything else. You're not picking up a new vase, or at least you shouldn't be picking up a new vase every month. You should have it for at least 6 months. But if anything, you should have it for 10 years. But do you get what I mean? It's about resetting your thoughts on what home decor is. And, having select pieces that speak to the season that you're in is fine, but that's still only 4 things. There's only 4 seasons. It's not 20 things. Okay? So less is more. Focus on the quality, focus on the style and how it represents you the most. And that way it's going to be more budget friendly, and it's going to elevate your space and make it feel way more cohesive. Number 4, gray walls, in or out? Look, I'm going to say that they're out, but I will say that they might be in the next year or two, because silver and chrome have come into style. They sort of replaced the gold and the brass that we saw a lot of over the last 5 years. So that's kind of telling me that we're getting back into that sort of cool tone environment. So if you're sitting there in your house with gray walls and oh, do I need to paint them? Maybe just hold out 1 or 2 years, because you never know. The cream walls that we're all painting at the moment could look awful in 2 years' time. And hey, that's on cyclical trends. Everything comes in and out of style, comes back again. But honestly, if you are looking at paint colors, just go for a neutral white tone that's not too cool, that's not too warm, and it will stand the test of time. Question number 5 was a good one. Are individual lounge rooms back in style over open plan living? Now, I did a couple of tours a few weeks ago, you might have seen on my Instagram, of a few new builds of Metricon. And what I will say is that open plan living still exists in these new homes. There's definitely still spaces to dine and sit around a kitchen. But I will say there's a lot more breakout zones. So a second living lounge space at the front of the home. And if it's 2 stories, there's another lounge living space upstairs. So I feel like we're leaning on the best of both worlds. We want spaces that we can sit together when we want to, but then we also want spaces that we can break away from when we want to, spaces for parents to have a chat, spaces for kids to hang out. So I feel like more and more as time goes on, we're stepping away from the open plan, but we're still keeping it and building extra rooms. So the homes are just kind of getting bigger. But if you're in a space where you can't actually do that, I think having separate rooms is great, because having more rooms means you have more different uses for those spaces, and also more room for you to decorate and style them and make your home feel more lived in, styled, curated. Because if you have a space that's too open plan, you kind of have only that room to define the space. So the more rooms you have, the more opportunities you have to flex your design skills and have the space tell more stories, Yeah. So I would say that having more rooms is definitely a trend, but we also have work from home spaces, butlers pantries, break off zones, as well as open plan. So I think we like both. The next one apparently is a serious question. The pillow chop. Is it in or out? Are we chopping? Are we not chopping? Look, I say no chop. No to the chop. But it depends on what it's on. On a bed, I don't like pillows chopped on a bed. But if it's on an accent chair, I can kind of get around it. It all depends on what it is and where it's sitting. I find overly chopped cushions really bad. You can do a slight chop, but a really hammered down cushion that like looks like bunny ears, or in my case, I've said cushion cleavage if you watch that TikTok video. I think it's too aggressive. It's too prim and proper. It feels stiff. It doesn't feel lived in. I think the cushion should reflect that of what you should be doing on the item of furniture, which is relaxed. So lay the pillow down in a relaxed form. You can push on it a little bit and have it look, have a little buckle on the fabric to make it look relaxed and lived in. That's what we want. On an angle, leaning. You can see my tutorial over on TikTok. It's all there. It's a great video. Next up, we have my kitchen is white on white. How do I soften it and warm it up? This is a really good question, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, particularly in rentals. And what I'll recommend is a lot of natural materials. So think timber chopping boards in like a beautiful walnut or oak timber. You can also grab some colorful ceramics and vessels to house like your utensils, and also grab some dinner sets in a couple of different colors so they can stand on your open shelves and add more warmth and dimension to the space. You can also add in your favorite cookbooks as well, because 9 times out of 10 they're a little bit more colorful and have really good photography, so you can have them styled open on a space if you have that extra surface area. And also, depending on your style, you can grab a pot and have some herbs in it, or you can also grab some indoor plants. Just adding those little bits and pieces are really going to add some character, some style, dimension, and ultimately some more warmth, and soften the space and not make it feel so clinical. Question number 8, again, is really popular amongst rentals, I would say. I have gray carpet and I want the space to feel more warm, neutral, and earthy. And to that, I would say invest in grabbing a really large rug. I have beautiful wool cream beige rugs in my main bedroom, which has gray carpet, but you don't pay attention to it because it covers up about 80 to 90% of the surface area on the floor. So you forget that there's gray carpet. Don't worry about layering rugs on carpet. You could totally do it. Not only does it look good, but it also makes the furniture feel a little bit more in place. I find if there's no rug in a room, the furniture can feel like it's floating and it doesn't really feel as cohesive. So a rug is really good. And grabbing it in that lighter tone works wonders. If you're really worried and conscious of it being dirty, grab like a synthetic blend rug that's easier to clean over a natural fiber like a wool. There's plenty on the market. You can grab like a washable rug from Ruggable as well. And finally, at number 10, we're talking storage. How can I store all my bed linen? I would say invest in grabbing a gas lift bed base. They are the best. I will never look back once I got my gas lift bed base because I can store so much in there. There is so much floor space under your bed that you could be utilizing with a gas lift storage bed. Some people like drawers. I don't think they're as effective. A gas lift bed base is the best. Also, a tip for storing your bed linen and keeping it all in order is fold up that set of bed linen and take the one pillowcase from that set and then put all that linen inside it and fold it over. That way it keeps it all neat and tidy and in one spot where you can access it easily, and then lay it upright in a file formation. And that way you can see all your bed linen in one spot. Everything's in that one spot, and you're not going to lose a top sheet or a flat sheet or whatever. And that's a wrap on the Q&A, guys. I hope you found this one helpful and enjoyed this new filmed episode. Be sure to subscribe and give this podcast a review. And if you'd like to see any more content from me, be sure to go check out my other socials, be it Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest at Loui Burke. And I also have a hell of a lot of links on my shop and also LTK. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.